right, hello everybody, and welcome to Theorycraft Thursday. We, of course, are your hosts. We're your hosts, Ursinity and Proud. Hello, Proud.
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
Oh, not too much. I'm excited to get everybody's favorite baseball podcast up and running. This week, of course, as always, we're sponsored by the biggest fans of Major League American Baseball, Pugna, PVGNA, and Unicorn, UNIKRN. We'll hear more about both of them later on in the show. We today are going to be covering the fun conspiracy that Derek Jeter has systematically ruined the Marlins to trade away their best player, Giancarlo Stanton, to the Yankees because, conspiracies are fun, right?
Okay.
Are you okay? I picked the wrong. Oh, well, we don't have any co-hosts that know baseball, but it's exciting. I enjoy baseball quite a bit casually, and everybody has been freaking out about how Derek Jeter is just stealing from the Marlins. But then, of course, all us New York Yankee loyalists are just saying, like, yo, nobody wants to pay for a 13-year, what was it? His contract was like $256 million or something. So that's that. Before we get into the in-depth details on everybody's favorite player, Giancarlo Stanton, we're going to talk about Dota 2, because baseball is dying, everybody knows it, and we are branching off into Dota as the eventual successor to American baseball. I think that's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah, there's like lanes similar to bases. There are bases similar.
Yeah, there are bases. There are also home runs. You can run those. Those are very fun.
Yeah, okay.
So Proud.
There are runes.
There are runes, yep. I hate it when my pitcher gets haste. It makes the game impossible to play.
Well, because the pitcher's just supposed to stay on the mound, but they get haste, and then they just like, oh, I want to go. Like, but you can't run around. You're the pitcher. Fuck, and then you get penalties.
Yep. All right. So, how's your week in Dota been, Proud?
It's been pretty good. I've been playing a ton of Doom, like a lot.
Yeah. What a surprise!
Like a lot of that, boy. I've been playing a big chunk of Doom. I want to say, like, if I look at my recent games, it's at least a third of them. More probably closer to half, depending on what section of the little panel you're looking at. But I've been playing a lot of Doom. I've been branching out a little bit in supports, not just playing Venge. Played like Jakiro. I played a really good Rubik game. A Shadow Shaman, what I did very badly, a Shadow Demon. So, just kind of going around. Won a game on Gyrocopter. That's new for the both of us. And my Queen of Pain is still just like, the Proud Queen of Pain. That's just what you want. You just want the Proud Queen of Pain.
So
and you win.
When I tweeted earlier this week out of frustration that I never win when I have Quaps on my team, and then because of course one of your mids is Quap, and
she's like my best one right now, honestly.
Yeah, and after tweeting about that, like maybe 2 hours later, I played a game, and KVH, the pro player and streamer and whatnot, I just randomly queued into him. Luckily, thank God, he was on my team, and it was unranked. But he's ranked 19th in NA right now. He played Quap, and it was a sight to behold. I'll say that much. So the gods have made my opinion completely invalid, and I now do actually win with Quaps on my team.
Okay, that's good. The way I like to play Quap, buddy, is I focus on right-clicking a ton. Because, like, if you throw your face in there, like, you're just going to die. Like your E, it's pretty close range, huh? It's pretty dangerous to use that. So I just, like, right-click a shit ton until people are low, and then I go in. It's great.
Yeah, KVH in our game, I'm just looking at it now, his third item, so he went double null, of course, wand. Treads, finished Veil, then he went Orchid, and then he built a Manta style, and then he went Shivas.
Yeah, I normally go Orchid.
You normally go Orchid?
Yeah, like a Veil into Orchid. That's ideal, unless you really need the Lincolns.
Yeah, the Manta was very interesting. It was one of those things where I had to do a double take when I clicked on his items. I assume it was just to dodge Sven stuns.
Yeah, I feel like a BKB might be better.
Yeah, BKB would definitely be better, and I guess there was a bunch of purge things. Like the enemy team had a Crystal Maiden and a Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, okay.
And you can dodge PA daggers. I guess I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, anything else standing out in your week in Dota?
I don't know. I don't think so. I love Jakiro against Chaos Knight. That was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah,
dude. That's a good time.
Jakiro's the bomb. I played him a lot like a few weeks ago, and I just have not been picking him recently, and I feel a little silly because he's just so good.
Yeah, any time like his skilling him up is always a fucking like exercise in brain working.
Yeah.
So you gotta be like, what's the best thing for this game? Like this game, I think I was like 2-1-2, and then I maxed Liquid Fire, and then I maxed Ice Path afterwards, and then I got like my Q last, but I had 2 points in it. It's fun shit, man. I like Jakiro. I like him a lot. He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I like Jakiro a lot. Let's see, my week in Dota, I've had a couple standout games, like that one I played with KVH. That was really interesting because it's always fun watching people that are super high ranked or just super high MMR and like how they approach the game differently. Other than that, I have been running into techies spammers again. I feel like I had a good 4 months or so without seeing techies in games. And then in the last week, I've run into 2 different people that only play techies. And it's made me reassess who I'm banning, because I've been banning Tinker or Storm in every game.
Right, yeah.
I kind of now want to go back to banning techies, even though I so rarely see it. But in the last week, I've seen it way more, and it just kind of hurts my soul, really. Like, one of the games we won in spite of the techies, but the techies really carried the enemy team. And it was only because like his or her cores were just absolutely, or his or her teammates were just absolutely throwing the game away. But in my recent game, we lost. I played a Medusa game. It was almost an hour long, and their techies just like absolutely demolished us. He didn't have a high KDA. He was 5'11 and 14. But the fact that this person was a techies was like single-handedly lost us the game or won them the game. It's just very infuriating. It was bringing me back into the like vitriolic I hate techies mentality of most Dota players.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, so I've been dealing with that recently. I made Aeon Disk work. That was the highlight of my week.
Who'd you get it on?
We've talked about how this item is one of the worst items in Dota, arguably the worst. And worst item is probably not the correct term I would use. I'd say it is the least usable item in Dota.
Who'd you get it on?
I got on AA.
Right.
This was an amazing AA game. I had 48 assists. It was an 80-minute game though, so you know that's gonna happen. This was the like once yearly game where at the end of the game we ended up winning. I was just like, yo, you guys on my team better commend me because I carried you so hard. And it was true. I had almost as much net worth as our mid Dark Willow by the end of this game. But the Aeon Disk single-handedly won us this game. Like, we were taking a big fight, and I had a refresher orb. And the enemy had a Bloodseeker and an Abyssal Blade, right? So he would jump on me, Abyssal me. He would hit me like once. My Aeon Disk would pop. It would purge the Abyssal effect. I would not take any damage. And then I would ult him point-blank range. And then I would use my refresher orb, and then my Aeon Disk would refresh. So I had another, I had another 2.5 seconds with which I could not be crowd controlled. Or actually, you can be CC'd, but it breaks any current CC, so like a silence. And I can't take damage. That's 5 seconds of not taking damage. I bought it initially just because I was an AA. Like, what is AA going to buy? Like, I already had an Aghanim Scepter, and I had a Kaya and BOT. And it was just like, it was actually a good item in this game. Like, they had a Shadow Fiend. The original reason I bought it was because they had a Shadow Fiend that did magic damage. So there were a couple fights where he would blink Yules me and then get his ult ready and just one-shot me. And so I built an Aeon Disk, and he obviously did not click on me at the time or just didn't understand how his ult works versus my item. Because SF ult is technically instances of damage. Because each what are they called? Like each line is a separate set of damage. So that's why it's like good against TA, and even though TA is obviously a lane counter, it's pretty good against TA if you can just take away like a bunch of refraction charges because you're shooting out a whole bunch of lines nearby. Anyway, there was just one fight where he blinked, he's like, haha, I'm gonna kill this 5-position support, and then I was just like, I walked away with literally full health. Like, it did almost nothing to me, and then I regen because I had an Octarine core. And it was amazing. So that was the very rare game that really got me thinking about Aeon Disk. And now, like, I wanna try it out on heroes like I had the idea to do it on Batrider Because Batrider, a lot of times when you're not directly countered, right? Like, the direct counters are heroes that are going to use a targeted ability on their ally to break the lasso. Things like Abaddon Shield or things like what's it called? Oracle Ult,
Venge Swap.
Those are the big ones. And with an Aeon Disk, if you're playing Batrider and they don't have one of those direct counters, usually they try to CC the Batrider instead. They sheep him or her, or they use Abyssals, whatever. But if you have an Aeon Disk, that just immediately goes away, and you can pretty safely just resume pulling whoever out with the lasso. So I think that might be cool. Using it on other initiators, I think might be interesting. It was just it was a fun way to kind of just buy a weird item and make it work. AA also feels really strong. He also, unless they hot fixed it, because I didn't see a patch, unless they fixed it, his level 25 passive is or his level 25 tree option, the 4% shatter thing, is always active. Like, it's just always active on AA at the moment. It's bugged.
What?
It's bugged. Like, it's always there. The 4% Ice Blast kill threshold, apparently that is always there. I was playing a game.
Explain the wording on that, because that is not, as in if anyone in the game hits 4% health, they die.
No. Okay, so you know how Ice Blast has the shatter health threshold with which you instantly die, right? It's 10%, 11%, 12%. At level 25, there's a talent to add 4% additional to that threshold. That talent is bugged and is always active on AA from like level 6.
Oh.
Yeah. I was in a game and people were talking about it because they were dying to it, and they were just like mathing it out. They're like, I should not have died here. And apparently that's a bug that exists at the moment.
That's cool.
There's also a Morphling Battle Fury bug where, Morphling has that talent to get an attack from while he's in waveform.
Oh, does that just blow it up?
If you have a Battle Fury, all those attacks cleave, which, that's not like a huge bug in the sense that you're not usually going to have Battle Fury.
If you jump over a creep wave, you'll kill someone. But outside of that, it's like you're not, like, you don't typically cleave like 8 units together with your fucking waveform.
In one game, I learned about both these bugs because we had a super, he was like Divine 4, and he just started crying at the beginning of the game, and he was like, I'm mad and I'm going to build a Battle Fury on Morphling. And then he was like, hey, all my attacks are cleaving now whenever I use Morph, or whenever I waveform. So yeah, also the other big thing was, since that talent was bugged on AA, which again, maybe it's been fixed by now, I was able to pick the 4 charges of Cold Feet talent. And that talent is what made the difference in this game that I played. Like, it was actually ridiculous how effective having 4 charges of Cold Feet is, especially when you consider I had most people choose the minus 1.5 seconds Ice Vortex cooldown talent. Between that and Cold Feet, I could reliably Cold Feet every single person. Or not every single person, since obviously there's only 4 charges. But I could be reliably Cold Feeding people constantly. And you cannot stack them. So when somebody is stunned from Cold Feet, you cannot re-Cold Feet them.
Oh, okay.
So you can't just like chain stun somebody. But it was one of these games where I was just able to sit in the back and just throw out tons of Ice Vortexes, throw out ults. We had a Faceless Void. And I would just constantly be Cold Feeding people. Also, you're getting this talent at 25. And this is any 25 talent that's magic based, while theoretically is countered by BKB, is also good in the fact that BKBs are generally going to be down to 5 seconds at this point in the game, so that makes them a little bit better. So at this point in the game, sure, they have BKBs, but all of them were 5 seconds, so I could reliably be using Cold Feet and stunning these people on the reg.
And if you have that Aeon Disk or whatever, like... Yeah, as long as it doesn't pop within 2.5 seconds of the BKB, like, you're gonna be guaranteed okay and be able to do things after the BKB.
Yeah, so that was a super fun game. Now I'm thinking I kind of want to play AA. Anyway, all right. That's been my week. Yeah, I'm just excited to make a useless item work. It's like adopting. Man, I made a great metaphor in Discord chat the other day, but I can't remember the exact wording of it. But it was like, you're the comic guy. Who is the original Robin that like gets picked up as like an orphaned kid with the dead parents? Dick Gracie. Aeon Disk is the Dick Grayson.
Like S-O-N. Dick Gracie?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Dick Gracie's the guy from he's a comic book detective.
Dick Tracy.
Tracy. All right, we're close enough. I said it with like a weird accent. All right. Anyway, Dick. We've lost this metaphor entirely already.
Dick Grayson.
Right. Yeah. So Dick Grayson, Aeon Disk is the Dick Grayson to my Batman, and I'm taking it under my wing and making it work and be useful. I'm sure I worded it much better in a text form when I was not stumbling over myself and getting things wrong. Just
trying to like find out where that comparison makes sense.
Well, because like Robin sucks, right? But Batman makes him cool.
I guess, but there's like two living beings in that kind of relationship. Not like a
Aeon Disk is living.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I mean, there's some lore garbage, I'm sure, that's like
it's all involved, kind of, in like a
more like stealing.
Surrogate father figure thing. I feel like Aeon Disk doesn't have the capability of having that sort of relationship with you.
Well,
I don't know about this one.
Don't think too hard, all right?
Okay.
Just let me and Aeon Disk live in peace together.
Well, it doesn't. All right.
So, anything else before we hop into our segment for the week? Okay, fine. Be that way. So, our segment for this week is talking about how to use TP scrolls best, because it's important. We say this whenever people ask for advice. Like, the number one advice you give is always carry a TP scroll, right? Like, that's the simplest piece of advice that any Dota player should use. And
yes,
we don't talk so much about how best to use TP scrolls, because, you know, the first step to using a TP scroll is to have one, right? That's the easy thing. But it is very easy to just completely waste TP scrolls, or to TP to your death, or to TP too late or too early and either telegraph things to the opposing team, or to not save your own allies, stuff like that. So if you had to say, like, what is your priority system when you're using TP scrolls, Proud?
I don't use them.
Unless, let's preface this by saying that you're coming from a carrier perspective.
No, from any perspective, don't use your fucking TP scroll. Don't use it unless it's necessary. Like, don't, if you, like, let's say you're a support and it's like 8 minutes and you just died and you're like, I should TP back to guard my safe lane. If you do that, your other lanes are fucking gone. You can't do anything. Like, if your mid gets, if you die and then you TP to your fucking safe laner, unless you get an immediate kill on their off laner, like, why are you there? Why is that? Like, you just opened yourself up to so much fucking risk. Just walk back to the lane, and if you need to TP, then do it. But don't. That's a good point. Don't use it unless you know for a fact that you are not going to need to use a teleport scroll for the next 80 seconds. Don't use it unless it's, you know, like, incredibly fucking important. Like, unless it's going to result in a kill that will result in you not needing to use a TP scroll in the next 80 seconds. Like, don't use it. It's because, like, it used to be like a 50-second cooldown, and then everyone was using it, and they kept increasing it, and no one has really changed their habits. But yeah, you gotta stop using them.
No, that's a really good point. I think when it comes to necessity, I feel like we always need to gauge necessity of TPing, right? And that's where it gets difficult, right? Like, if your mid's getting ganked, maybe they'll live if you don't TP, but maybe if you TP, or maybe if you don't TP, they'll die, right? So you have to gauge the necessity of you TPing to mid if your Ember Spirit's getting ganked by Spirit Breaker. And you say, oh, well, Ember Spirit has 130 mana, which means he's going to be able to use Bolus in a second. Or it's called Bolus, right?
Searing Chains.
Okay. But they are Bolas. Bolas? Yes. Bolas? Anyway. So then you can say, all right, it's not necessary for me to TP to mid because he can figure it out himself, which then, like you were talking about earlier, it opens up your ability to say, oh, I need to TP to offlane, or, oh man, mid's getting ganked again 20 seconds later, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where it always gets difficult, right? Do you have any steps to gauge, like, the level of necessity?
For the early game, that's like, I don't know, those things are pretty, like, you kind of just have to judge them, right? But I'm talking...
Yeah, you gotta eyeball it.
In general, like, when I'm saying don't use them, like, let's say you're a carry and you died and you want to go back to lane to farm. if you use your TP scroll, if any fight happens in the next like minute and a half, you can't fucking do anything. So like
you can't defensively TP, you can't offensively TP to another lane.
And then as a support, like, you know, let's say you TP to, you know, sit behind your offlaner or something, or you TP to get, you know, 5 last hits because no one is around that lane. And then no one's around that lane because they're all grouped up somewhere else. And then you've got like 3 cores in the same place and your 4 is there and your 5 is not around to use a smoke. And they're just like, okay, like you got 5 last hits and now our team is just going to do absolutely fucking nothing for the next like minute because we didn't smoke right there. Yeah, so like that's more the context where I'm saying just don't use them. Early game, like you kind of have to use TP. Like if you die as a core, TP back to lane, sure. As a support, generally it's okay to TP back if you're immediately like if you're getting aggro duoed or something and you TP back and you beat the shit out of their offlaner, like that's totally fine. Or if your mid is getting ganked, then you know use it. But in general, like the idea is just to like not use a TP unless it's an urgent TP. Like there's no reason to not use, or there's no reason to use a TP if something fucking crazy isn't happening.
No, yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? The big thing for me as a support player when it comes to TPing is that a lot of times it's incredibly restrictive if you TP. So you're punished so much for bad TPs. Like, well, let's see, in this AA game, for instance, that I was talking about earlier, our mid laner was a Dark Willow, right? So if I TP mid and the Dark Willow is getting ganked by like the enemy Mirana, let's say, the enemy Mirana got an arrow and they're trying to kill our Dark Willow. If I as an AA TP there, odds are I'm wasting my time because I'm level 2, I'm level 3. Like Chilling Touch is not going to change the whether or not my Dark Willow dies and I don't have enough mana to do anything else. And if I use Cold Feet, they just walk it off because we have no other CC. So that would be a wasted TP, right? But impulsively, you kind of want a TP in a lot of situations like that. I feel like a lot of times I fall victim to my impulse is to click my TP earlier rather than later. That way, I don't end up regretting not TPing, if that makes sense. One thing that I find myself doing more than I see other people doing is I cancel TPs. Sometimes I regret it, but a lot of times I will start a TP right away when I see something going down. And then as it progresses, I'm watching it go on and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go there, actually. This is a terrible idea. And then I cancel my TP, which, like I said, I feel like I do that a little too much, but I also feel like a lot of people don't do that enough. Would you agree that a lot of people just don't cancel TPs out of like principle?
I mean, depends on the game, I guess. Like I see a lot of people cancel TPs, but I mean, the lower you go, probably they're gonna more commit to like I made this decision, I'm gonna stick by it. I'm not gonna make another judgment call. I'm TPing and I'm gonna do it. But I don't know. I think people could do it more. There's a lot of times people TP somewhere that's bad, and then they should not do that. But that's, I mean, I doubt they have they know that it's bad, otherwise they would have canceled it.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah. In terms of saving mid though, I feel like a good way to go about it is if my mid is getting ganked by 3 people, I'll just let it happen because that doesn't give off that much of an advantage because like it's split 3 ways, like whatever.
It is splitting it.
And if the support gets lasted to like, you know, whatever. And if the mid is able to survive, it's going to be because they like get under tower and do some crazy shit. And if they're getting dove under tower and they're dying, sure, then TP. But it's like if my like Dragon Knight gets fissure blocked and then there's like a disruptor ready to glimpse him back and there's like Queen of Pain beating the shit out of him, I'm not going to TP for that no matter what hero I am. Like, yeah, they spent 3 heroes to gank our Dragon Knight and then he died and then he TPs back to lane and he's still a big tanky boy and it's going to take them another 3 heroes to do that shit again. It's like if I leave, now I give their offlaner free shit. Like the second that you leave the safe lane as a support, you are letting their offlaner come back into the game. And I don't know if saving your, even like the prospect of maybe saving your mid laner is worth their offlaner like coming online. Like 1 death on your mid isn't the difference between the offlaner now is able to contest your carry and your carry gets less farm and now they have another full core at 10 minutes. Like it's not worth it.
And it becomes even harder to zone them. So once you have made that choice to leave, then you have to deal with the repercussions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, no matter what, there's going to be a downside. and there's not going to be a guaranteed upside. And obviously the way decision making works is you weigh, like what the chances are and how big the upside and downside is. But just as a base, like if 3 people are ganking your one fellow, just let it happen. Like that's fine. I don't know. Like we've all played mid and we've died a couple times in lane, and then we just rotate for one team fight, win it, and like gain 3 levels, and instantly we're the same level as their mid. Like I don't know. Sometimes you fucking die mid and then you get it back. Like Dota's a fucking rubber bandy game. Just let shit happen.
Yeah, I know. This is very in character for me as a very greedy player. Period, but especially a greedy support player. I find myself. Occasionally, I suppose it's like an admission of guilt. Occasionally, I find myself TPing to mid when, like, using this example from earlier. Let's say my Dark World is getting ganked by 3 people and I know she's gonna die. I'll TP there, kind of knowing that she's gonna die anyway, but I'll just stay there or keep my TP going because I know they're not gonna continue with me. Like, let's say they've blown all their mana and whatnot. But if I finish my TP, sure, the offlaner gets a little whatever, my safe laner gets a little bullied, whatever. Maybe the other support has to deal with it a little more. But that means I'm going to get a bunch of CS and XP under tower, and I'm going to get to be the mid laner for the next 30 seconds or whatever, while my mid laner respawns and all that.
I mean, that's fine. Like someone should take that experience. I think that's totally fine.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, the problem that you were just talking about gets created, right? Where I'm no longer in the safe lane, so therefore the enemy offlaner now gets a fighting chance. So
I mean, if your safe laner is like actively getting bullied, then that's probably not a fucking good idea. Like,
I wouldn't do it in that
Juggernaut
situation.
that's just eating like bristleback quills, and you're like, that's fine. I'm gonna get 30 experience, or like 300 or whatever. That's definitely not a good idea. Also, because if their mid laner is fine, their mid laner is just gonna deny the shit out of you. I mean, if it's under tower, but you're probably not gonna get many last hits under towers.
I don't know.
Little baby support.
My mechanics are pretty good. Let's be honest. I get a lot of Crystal Maiden last hits. I'll say that. I mean, in that situation, right, I would never leave a bristleback that's bullying a jug, but if it is like, oh, we've zoned a Magnus for the last 5 minutes and my mid laner is about to die, like,
no, I think that's
I'll take it. I'll be like, yeah, but now I'm level 3.5 and this was a ton of XP. So, you could suck it up, Mr. Safe Lane. And, sure, you had a hard time, but I'll come back and we'll kill him because now I have extra spells.
As long as, like you TP and then you get some experience. And as soon as your mid is TPing, then you go back to what you were doing. Because the worst thing is like, I don't know, someone ends up in one lane and they're just like, I'm free.
I'm going to
go off lane now. Then I'll go back mid. I don't have to go back to safe lane ever.
And I'll get some bounty runes.
Yeah, it's just like, buddy, like their off laner is now level 5 when a minute ago he was level 2.
Yeah, it's so easy to do nothing, which is such a kind of a weird statement to say, but it really is, especially as a support. It's so easy to just end up spending 3 minutes and you look back and you're like, wow, I accomplished literally nothing. Like, I just did nothing in this entire 3 minutes because I TP'd and it didn't pan out, or like I smoke ganked and it didn't pan out. Then I went and I got runes, but they weren't there because the enemy team got them. And then I tried to stack a camp, but I messed it up. And then it's like, all right, you just blew 2.5 minutes and you've accomplished nothing.
That's why you do the Proud method, where you just buy a ton of sentry wards, and when in doubt, just fucking drop a sentry ward. And did you find something?
Just for fun.
Then you know that area is clear. You're good.
I suppose that is true. That requires money, though, and money is hard to come by these days.
It's not if you don't buy items and you just buy sentry wards.
That's fair.
20 sentry wards a game. Fucking get it. They're good.
Okay, sorry. I was just shocked. I looked at one of my games, and I had an SF who I did not think was doing particularly well, and then I just looked back, and he's actually a pretty high-ranked player. I don't know why this guy was not good. Anyway, I've had a bunch of toxic games recently, too.
I don't care.
More so than useful. Have you not had toxic games recently? This is off topic, but...
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Okay, fine.
Whether or not we... Like, why are you talking about that?
It just came to mind. We gotta be casual. We gotta embrace the casual air. Anything else? Any other big things? What about, could we talk a lot about early game TP scrolls, or TPing? What do you think changes once you're into the mid and late game, TP scenario, assuming that you don't have TP boots? Because once you have TP boots, it kind of changes the math because TP boots cooldown is much lower. Do you find yourself having any difference of opinion on how you make use of TP scrolls in the mid and late game? Is it more conservative or is it more liberal?
Yeah, way more conservative. I would not use Like, I just don't use them. I mean, you can move around pretty fast because everyone is, gaining some amount of mobility item or move speed or whatever. Like, you can get where you need to go. And then, but like, if shit happens, you need to be able to TP there. Like, it can't be on cooldown unless you're TPing to a smoke, because after you smoke, you're not going to do anything for the next 80 seconds because you just fucking created a flashpoint, and that's gonna have impact that's gonna fucking reverberate through the game. So yeah, use your TP scroll, whatever. You might just die, or you might kill them all and then go racks with your team. Or if you're TPing to when your team is going to group and push, like, sure, do that. But unless you're TPing to, like, do a group activity, I wouldn't use it ever. This is like defend a racks. Like, that's important. But if you TP to a lane to farm, you're not going to be able to TP to defend a racks or TP to fucking do a smoke or anything.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. I mean, I agree. I'm a much more conservative TPer in the late game. I guess my last question that I want to talk about regarding TP scrolls is what...
It is disgusting how few sentry wards you buy in your games.
I buy them when I need them. That's why we're different.
Did you just not like dewarding?
I deward, but I don't need a lot of sentries to deward because I know where they've warded. Whereas you're just dropping them willy-nilly.
Well, in this game, you bought 2 sentry wards, and they
Which game is this? Is this the Rubik game?
Yeah.
I was building a heart in this game, dude. I was playing Rubik and I was building a heart. How much do you think I cared about this game?
Well, I don't know. I guess not enough. This Ancient Apparition game, I mean, you have like 2 gems in there, but it's 120 minutes, and you bought like fucking 13.
Yeah, you only need 13. I don't...
There was fucking 30 observer wards in this game.
Dude, you just gotta figure it out, all right? Like, Lion had 20 sentries in this game.
Oh, yeah, okay. So Lion was doing the heavy lift in here. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, well, you look at, like,
Lion spent a 5.
Well, I started as the 5, and then Lion got his blink, and I was like, I'm gonna buy this Midas right here.
Decided not to be the 5 anymore.
Yeah. Well, you gotta assert yourself. That's when the team picks 2 5s, you just assert yourself, and you're like, I'm gonna have farm now. And then the other person is just like, okay, I guess I'll buy all the sentries. Sure. But I mean, look, like, I had 26,000 net worth in this AA game. All right, I was basically a core.
So someone else bought the sentries. That's fine. That's acceptable.
Yeah, I do agree with you though. Like, I probably do skimp on sentries occasionally when I'm close to items, but in general, if I need sentries, I buy them. That's generally my method. Also, yeah, man.
I just like anytime I place an observer, I'm gonna keep pair it with a sentry in almost every case.
Yeah, I mean, I put the sentry first because if you deward,
yeah. So, I mean, by that logic, you should have more sentries than obs placed in general.
Yeah, theoretically. I feel like in a lot of games, I just don't see the enemy warding as much, or I just don't see the ill effects of their warding, and I'm just like, yeah, maybe there's a ward there, maybe not, but I'm pretty close to a Yule Scepter, so guess I'm gonna.
So you just keep buying sentries the whole time. You don't ever get close, so you don't have that. You don't have that worry.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you just, like, every time you die, you just panic, buy all your unreliable golden sentries.
Well, that's what I do. I spend all my unreliable gold on, like, wards and sentries and shit, and I use my reliable for my items, and it works out pretty well. I never lose gold when I die because I always just have like, I'm flush with, like, I have 3 sentries every time I go anywhere and 2 obs on me, and then also like 2 smokes, and then the gold's getting there. It's fine. It'll get there.
Yeah,
some like going for a blink or whatever. Anyway, that's just different ways of support philosophy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, my main support philosophy now is don't pick Lena support because boy, it's bad.
Why? Yeah, that's. I don't pick Spectre support.
Yeah,
that's my idea.
Lena support used to be fine, like back in the day, and then it was passably fine just because I'm a Lena specialist, and now it's really not either of those things. It's freaking bad.
Yeah, it's
so
not good.
Yeah. Don't do that. Anyway, okay, so the last thing I want to talk about TPs real quickly. What is your priority system when you're in the late game and you have 6 slots worth of items? And, at what tier of item do you replace a TP scroll if you're, like, pushing or whatever? Like, let's say, like, you're playing a Medusa game and your 6th slot, like, your least important item is, like, an Aquila. Do you just replace that with a TP scroll permanently?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Or do you, like, backpack the Aki and then swap them in and out?
Yeah,
or
I mean,
you just
I
committal?
would swap the Aquila in like when I'm pushing. You know, when I know I'm not gonna need to use a TP scroll because I'm in the middle of a fucking team fight, and
Yeah.
there's stuns happening. But I generally like to always have my TP scroll and an item to switch with it because that's just strength that you
Yeah, it's
get
efficiency.
to have. Yeah, like I'll keep my wand for a while and then swap it back in whenever there's like a fight is about to occur. Yeah, I would say so. I would say that. And then as a support, I'm more likely to keep my wards like in my backpack than my TP. Also,
Yeah.
I felt like that was where you were going to go with that question because we were just talking
I
about
mean,
a
it's
lot
just
about
a
wards.
different angle on it.
Yeah, so that's
I agree
wanted
with
to
that,
answer
though.
unprompted.
When I have dust and wards and I have a TP and they're all
Yeah,
competing
that's
for
when it
2
gets hard.
slots. Yeah, I always keep dust because dust is something you need in the moment.
Yeah.
But occasionally, like usually what I'll do if I'm in that scenario is that while I'm like moving from point A to point B, I will carry wards and place the wards. And then once I'm in like a territory where I might be fighting, then I swap my wards out for my dust. And I try to keep the TP in regardless because even if I don't need TP elsewhere, like to react to something, even if it's like a 5v5, I still like to have it as like a defensive tool because you could just leave. Like you could just be like, hey, I'm out.
Yeah, Night Stalker voids you and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna leave.
Okay, have fun. All right, let's talk about our heroes, shall we? So this week we're hopefully playing a couple cores with the volatility of public matchmaking. We may or may not end up playing cores. I will say, after all our AA talk, if I don't end up playing Shadow Fiend, which is my intended hero, I will probably just play AA because I think AA is super fun. And I'm on like, now that we've been reminiscing about my 80-minute AA game that I bought no wards in, I'm like, man, I want to buy no wards again. It sounds like a good
Just be a
time.
really farmed boy.
Yeah. Okay. So ideally, we're going to be playing Shadow Fiend and Luna. We've played Luna a few times, but you were saying how you have kind of taken to playing her a little bit differently, skill wise. So why don't you get into that?
So the main difference between me and these horrendous other Lunas you've been seeing is at level 10, I don't get 20 attack speed like Luna does. Have you seen Luna attack? She's fine. Instead, I get 200 cast range. And at level 15, 24 Lunar Blessing damage. 24? At level 15,
not a lot.
It's a low amount. I get the 3 Lucent Beam cooldown. Yeah, it's an aura, but I don't fucking care. You know what's
You're
really
a Luna
good?
player. You don't care about your teammates.
A 3-second cooldown Lucent Beam that you can do from the fucking screen away. That's really good. That's like really good, especially with all that night vision you have. It's so easy to just catch someone real quick, and then your line is close enough to blink stun or whatever. It's just great. Like I've had so many games where Storm zips on someone, I'm on like the other side of my team's formation, and I can just like glance over my shoulder and then stun someone in fucking Timbuktu. Like it's amazing. Honestly, I can't recommend the fucking range talent highly enough. Like if you have to get the Lunar Blessing damage, fine, but the cooldown combined with the range is just. Oof, it's good. I highly recommend. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it fits like a more fighting Luna rather than a like pushing Luna, if that makes sense. Like Luna's going to push really well regardless, but that Lucent Beam cooldown is going to win you the fight that leads to that push. Whereas 24 Lunar Blessing damage is not going to like, you're not going to swing a fight because
no encounter you engage in is going to be meaningfully different from the Lunar Blessing. But if you manage to catch a Storm Spirit in the middle of a zip, and then you can like chain off that because Storm didn't see any projectiles coming, so he didn't zip. Like if you surprise a Storm with a stun across the map, like you killed him, and now you're gonna push. And 24 Lunar Blessing damage doesn't make or break that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's one of those things where I feel like the Lunar Blessing damage talent is what a lot of people would pick just as like a natural thing. Like, oh, I'm playing Luna. Like, I want damage because it's going to bounce and all that. But it is interesting how these kind of unique talents have a lot of unseen usefulness that I guess you wouldn't expect until you've actually played with them. Yeah. Like in some of my unranked games recently, I've just been trying new things. Like I've just been, picking a weird talent and be like, oh, this felt really good. Or like in my A game, right, I built an Aeon Disk. Like, sure, I could have built a Yules or whatever, but sometimes it takes to trying those things that you might not normally do to really find out, like, hey, this is actually super legit.
Yeah, so that was my idea behind picking it. I was like, oh, let me try this out. And I did the range first and then the blessing, and then I was like, maybe me try this cooldown thing too, and it's great. Yes, that's yeah. Also with Queen of Pain, I take the AoE dagger thing now, and even though
Yeah,
I
that's
always
what
thought
Dendi
that
was
was
doing.
shitty. Yeah, it's really good. I thought it was just like Scream of Pain, where it would just like come out of every pore in my body, but it's actually like point targeted and then a radius around the place that I target. So it actually has a
that's
fucking
cool.
absurd range. Yeah, so I can like do it on a creep and it'll hit a whole semicircle behind the creep. It's great.
You can like throw it up if you're attacking high ground. You could just throw it onto the high ground. Do you have to target something, or can you just throw it in an AoE?
You have to target something.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, you could just throw it at somebody from far away, and then
or like
suddenly
a creep wave or whatever, and then let it go out. Yeah, it's
that's
great.
pretty cool, actually.
Yep.
Do they like bounce off of the initial target?
Yeah. They all come from you still, but they affect everyone around the initial target. It's like it's just like Sven stun. Like everyone gets stunned in that area. Everyone gets a dagger thrown at them in that area. And fucking like Oprah Winfrey with Shadow Strikes.
That's cool. Does it break Lincolns if they're not the targeted one? That's a real question.
I don't think so.
I would assume it wouldn't. Well, because it would not. It would break Lincolns for the targeted person.
What breaks Lincolns is the act of targeting someone, right? No, there's a lot of shit that like Sand King's stun. You can like click on the ground and it'll still get avoided. It might. I don't know. I don't know anything. It probably does break Lincolns actually, because they probably wouldn't change the way it's coded in any way. They would just like let's go and fly out there.
That's like a cool interaction though. Like if they have a team, like if you have an LC on your team and they've built like a bunch of Lincolnses and you just like happened to break 2 or 3 Lincolns, like that's pretty cool.
Just fucking carpet bombing their Lincoln spheres out.
Yeah. And you can build Aeon Disk against LCs also. Man, what a good item. That's definitely not terrible.
Right. Anyway, so that's how I like to play Luna. The only other real difference is that I've been getting a point in Lunar Blessing at 4 pretty often. And that's just because you get like a good amount more experience in lane than you used to. And you kind of get lane experience is so good that you're not too worried about getting a ton of points in Moonglaves and going into the jungle as early as you might have last patch. So like, it's fine. Like you level up fast enough, you're going to kill people. You'll get your last point in Moonglaves. It's not going to take forever. And another 8 damage in lane when we're dealing with this fucking post-apocalyptic world where there's nothing to buy at the side shop at all. Like, and that damage is pretty useful at level 4. Like the most damage you're going to have is whatever starting items you get and maybe like boots. And if you're good, the Band of Elven skin for your treads. Cause that's also, you should definitely buy the Band of Elven skin. Because it's not just the strength item that turns into treads. It's any of the 6 stats items. Those all can be built into treads. Kind of like, it can become any stat. You can build it with any stat. So on most Agi heroes, I just buy the Band of Elven skin from the shop because you need damage to last hit if you can't get a Quelling Blade.
Yeah. So there's one other thing about Luna that I really want to talk about. So you were talking to somebody in Discord today. And I am definitely not a Luna player. Like I picked her, I don't know, I feel like I played her once like a couple months ago, but I really don't pick Luna.
Okay.
I autopilot and I build Dragonlance in most games, but you guys were making a really convincing point to skip Dragonlance in a lot of situations. Can you go into that?
Yeah, I would more say I typically don't get Dragonlance and I have to find reasons to buy it. Because the ideal Luna is Manta Luna. Like you want to get there. Luna with Manta is wild and you want to get your BKB. So the only reason that you really would want Dragonlance is if you need it. And the way you would know if you need it is you need to kind of like visualize how you think fights are going to go. Like Dragonlance, all Dragonlance does for Luna is mean that she can be a bit further away when she attacks. And because of that, you say, okay, is there anyone in this team that is really dangerous to attack, pretty close to melee range, or like a little bit beyond melee range. And, like the common heroes that I would think about for that are like Gyrocopter. I don't want to be in range of Gyrocopter's Rocket Barrage or his Call Down. I want to be as far away as possible. Enigma, I don't want to group up. I want to be able to be as far away as I can. Terrorblade, I'm not going to be able to get in the mid. Like, I'm not going to be able to attack Terrorblade without just fucking dying. I'm going to die before I close the distance. So I'd like even a Hurricane Pike just to get in there and be able to hit him before I get hit by a bunch of Scotties and 13 fucking monoliths are staring down at me. Like you need to deal with that. Other guys might be like good for that. It's just like if there's anything, a lot of shit that you have to play around where your positioning is really, really important, then I think the Dragonlance is good. Or if you know you're going to need to siege, like let's say I'm against an Invoker or something. Invoker is also a hero where, you know, you want to have good positioning. Faceless Void also, like if they Chronosphere, I want to be able to attack into the Chronosphere without, you know, fucking myself, no matter, you know, either if I'm on Faceless's team or against them. But yeah, like if you are going to need to siege, if your mid laner is like a Zeus or something and your off lane is, I don't know, a Clockwork, you're probably gonna need a Dragonlance if you're against an Invoker or a Gyrocopter or like a Medusa or something. Like if you have to get all up in there to start hitting the tower, and the only way you're gonna end the game is by you getting up in there and hitting a tower, you probably need a Dragonlance.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and I feel like Dragonlance was, like I said earlier, it was just an autopilot item for me. It was like, well, you know, I like having a lot of stats, and it's easy to build in laning phase. I get 2 bends of Elven Skin. It helps me last hit, and then eventually I get an Ogre Club. And then when you guys were talking about that, I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's not like we were talking about, it's not a transformative item for the hero. It's except for in those situations where you say, oh, I'm definitely going to need a Hurricane Pike, or oh, I'm definitely going to have to engage from range.
Yeah.
So,
The reason for that is kind of like you were saying with, you were talking about some other stuff earlier. I think it was like a support or a Zeus or something. No, it was some Zeus on our team that had like 3 2,000 gold items. Like similarly, we have started building Mask of Madness, and because of that, we would like to make our build a bit more lean if we can. So, you know, not going Dragonlance is ideal because we used to not really go that. I mean, we went Dom, but that was kind of its own thing, and people didn't always go Dragonlance with that too. But yeah, like if you're going Mask of Madness, you want to be able to skip that just so you can get that Manta a bit faster. And then if you need the Dragonlance, like you can get it, I guess. Manta helps you farm faster. Dragonlance really doesn't. Yeah, there's
no point in buying a farm accelerant like a Mask of Madness to then farm up to get a 1,900 gold item. Like, that's just not economical, right? The reason you buy these farm accelerants is so that you can get these 4,000 gold items and these 5,000 gold items going forwards. All right, well, that's cool. Do you have any other Luna revelations? Any other new stuff on Luna?
No, I've been playing her a lot more like Nuki in team fights and not putting myself in danger at all. And that's been really good with the lower cast cooldown and all that. And then like after you get a pretty good sense of the fight, you get some people kind of shave down a little bit. That's when you can, you know, pop Eclipse, pop your Mask of Madness, and go in there and do a bunch of crazy shit. But like the extra range and the extra cooldown on Lucent Beam, I think is really, really important for that kind of playstyle. It's kind of like PA where you just like keep tossing daggers, and then as soon as you can go in, you go. It's pretty much the same thing, only you can do it very safely, and you kill their entire team when you go in instead of just one person.
Yeah, is there like any big item that you're looking for that changes the math on whether or not you're going in on a fight?
No, I mean, nothing beyond BKB.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it plays just like Luna. It's just, you know, you can stay back a bit further and fish for like openings much more easily, and chase like a motherfucker.
Yeah. That's God. Luna's so fast with the agility change that now you get 1 movement speed for every agility.
That is not what the change is.
That's not. It's not the change, but
it's percentage based.
It's percentage based.
Yes.
I'm having like a breakdown right now. What is the? I need to be reminded what the exact math on the change is.
Well, it's just like for every point of agi you get some percent more move speed. That's all it is. It's a pretty low amount, but it often does reflect in gaining 1 move speed. But you know, if you have a lot of move speed, it'll be 2 sometimes.
Okay, got it. All right, you had me worried. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's around 1. I didn't want it to be like, you gain
like 0.25. To say, every agi you get gives you 1 move speed. Like, that's not accurate.
That's a good point.
As soon as you get travels, it's going to be like 1.5.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Morphling is another one where Morphling is just like, oh, okay, this here just has 500 movement speed. I'm like, and also he has waveform, and he has like 16 charges of it. Like, cool. Seems good.
He used to be so fucking slow, and now he's a quick boy. Love him.
Yep. All right. Okay. So I'm going to be playing Shadow Fiend today. We've talked about Shadow Fiend a bunch in the last week or so. I've been playing. Actually, didn't play that much of this here this week, but that's just because I have not been playing mid this week. And also, I played a Lina mid game, which was very fun. And I also played a Leshrac mid game and a Medusa mid game. So I've been slacking on my SF play, but SF is a baller right now. I'm sure everybody listening has seen him in his or her pubs
Man, just say
nonstop.
there. It sounds so much better.
I guess
fucking-
it's just
you
it's just
fumble.
compulsive.
I
It's just
know. But
compulsive.
you got to work on it.
I'll try my best.
Thank
So
you.
everybody has seen SF in their pubs in the last,
nice.
since 7.07.
Easy.
So a lot of people are annoyed with this hero, and I understand that because it's not fun to see any hero in your pubs repeatedly, even if it's not a hero that in particular you dislike mechanically. It's just freaking boring. Like, there's 120 heroes to choose from. Pick a different one.
Yeah.
But I love SF, and mostly it's because I love Sage and Yasha, and I want to marry Sage and Yasha, and SF
be
lets me
like
build it first.
You need to go like Utah if you wanted to marry both Sanj and Yasha.
I'll figure it out. All right, love conquers all. Love conquers all.
Okay.
I was gonna say all bounds, but I don't know if that's how you use that phrase.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
so I mean, there's not a lot to talk about on SF as far as like skill builds go. Like, of course, you're maxing Necromastery first, and you're maxing Shadow Raise second. You're
maxing Shadow Raise first, but you get a point in Necromastery at 1.
It depends on how well I'm doing in my lane. Sometimes I will
I'm
level
pretty sure you
max
max-
Necromastery and push my tower.
Pretty sure you max Shadow Raise.
Once I have level 3 Shadow Raise, I can clear creep waves in two Shadow Raises, which makes the 4th point a little unnecessary unless I'm going for kills. So if I'm just trying to take my tower early, I will
I don't know.
max
It's only
Necromastery
12
first.
damage.
12 damage adds up, dude. 12 damage is a lot.
So does 70 damage on your Shadow Raise.
But again, like the thing is that you are clearing waves in 2 Shadow Raises, regardless of whether you have level 3 or level 4 Shadow Raise.
I mean, it's only going to delay you 1 level anyways. It's not like most heroes where you get your ulti and it's like that's a big deal.
Yeah, it can go either way. Also,
Yeah,
like
okay.
I've seen some people that, like, if you have a really good roaming hero, like a roaming Earth Spirit, I've seen some people go Necromastery, raise, and then they just go for kills. Because now with the change to Shadow Raise,
see.
I normally get Necromastery at 3 again, but that's just because like mechanical dominance is fun. Anyway, they can go either way. Really, it's personal preference because I see it go both ways. Anyway, yeah, you max those 2, and then you get ult at 9, and then eventually you get Presence of the Dark Lord because it's a cool ability.
Check this.
I'm actually curious. You should check because
I'm
do
pretty
a lot
sure
of.
they just get raised because it kills everyone now.
Yeah, it does a lot of damage. You can, I think, one full combination of raises does something like 1,000 some odd damage after the changes. And if you have the talent with 2 raises hitting somebody, you deal like 1,034 damage or some nonsense. It's a lot of damage, that's for sure. Anyway,
yeah, literally everyone maxes raise.
Really? That's cool. I mean, I'll start doing that then.
Everyone.
I feel silly now.
Yeah, you should.
Anyway, I honestly don't focus that much on the skill build on this hero, so I'm glad to have that information now. I mostly just focus on itemization whenever I do research, and I never liked Shadow Blade build, even though the Shadow Blade build's super good. It just does not fit my playstyle. And I also don't like the magic damage build because similarly, it's fine, but it just does not suit my playstyle. And I have tried it a couple times, but it's really just not to my liking. And admittedly, I've not practiced it, so maybe someday I'll get into it. But I've just been going stat heavy and also buying Soul Ring. I think I talked about this last week with the whole Soul Ring SF thing that I learned from Miracle and D2 Bowie.
Yeah,
but I don't do it every game. Like one of my recent games, I had a CM on my team, so I was like, I don't need the extra mana regen. I'll just get like an extra clarity or 2, and I have a raindrop, so I'll figure it out.
Is that correct or wrong?
It was fine. Yeah, it worked out. But in general, if I am looking to play this hero without a bottle, I love having the Soul Ring. It really is a fun item to have. Just fun in that it gives you more stats, and also it is up frequently enough and consistently enough that it accelerates your farm a lot compared to if you have a bottle. Yeah. It's an inconsistent regen in that sometimes you will not have charges. Soul Ring, once it's up, like you always know that you have it. And it's an easy item to get rid of later.
Like that'll get you 2 to 3 raises max, and then you need to refill it on a bounty rune, which is just going to give you like 1.5 more raises. But every Soul Ring's like 2 fucking raises. That's much better. It's very good.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And also, the new Soul Ring, it gives you
120 health and regen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew that helped, but the regen's nice. When you consider laning phase.
Yeah, like every hero needs.
Yeah, 2 full HP regen.
Yeah, every hero needs like 1 or 2 extra HP regen because the way strength works now, that turns everyone into someone who doesn't need to go back to base. But like, if you've ever like sold whatever item gave you, like whatever item had a ring of health in it at 60 minutes, and you realize your hero now has 3 health regen, even though they're like fucking decked out, and every time you take damage, it's just there forever. Like, that sucks. You need something that gives you that regen.
I will say the one other thing that I'm interested in trying, but admittedly have not tried yet, is some of the people that are skipping bottle but are not going Soul Ring. They are going something to the effect of Aki, Wand, Treads, Drums, Sange and Yasha, because the additional mana regen you get from Drums, paired with shipping out a couple clarities and a raindrop here and there, it does accumulate in enough mana regen to make you sustainable, and the Drums really fits the playstyle of the super fast SF that just is running around punching people to death. So I might try that this game. It really depends how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've not tried that yet, but I love movement speed on this hero. The big thing that's really gotten me into it is between a Sange and Yasha and his 40 movement speed talent.
Yeah.
I forget the exact movement speed I have, but you're moving at like 480.
Something like that.
And then you get a butterfly later, which brings you up to over 500. And it's just...
Yeah. Oh, no, just because of the Agi itself, yeah.
Yeah, the Agi itself. And then also you use it, of course, then you get to 550. So it's just kind of gross how fast you are. So I've been having super fun on the hero that way. And then, of course, the rest of your items, they vary game to game, but you're always going to be building a BKB. Probably you're building it after your 2 stat items if you are getting the Urn, or the 1 stat item if you're only getting the Sange and Yasha. But then after that, you just change it up. Usually you're building an AC at some point, and you're building a butterfly at some point. And Daedalus, this is one of the few heroes that I still really like Daedalus on. It's just good. I don't even want to, it's just damage. It's crazy. I had my most recent SF game, I went, for as far as major items go, I went Sange and Yasha, AC, Daedalus, and Desolator. And I've just built the Deso. I should have built the Deso before the Daedalus, but I forget there was some impulse there where I was like, I just want to have this Demon Edge. I think that's what my decision making was. But I was just like a truck.
Deso doesn't involve a Demon Edge.
No, I know. That's why. I mean, I was just probably walking by a shop.
Daedalus.
Yeah, and I got the Daedalus because of the Demon Edge, and I was like, I just want to have this. But it was super good. That game, obviously, I didn't need a BKB, which would have changed up my itemization. But I like that this hero has. I like that when I'm playing this hero specifically, I have the core of items that I want. I'm like, all right, I know I'm going to build Sange and Yasha, and I'm going to build Treads and a BKB and probably a Soul Ring and a Wand or maybe Drums. But then after that, I can just kind of do whatever I want. Like some games I might need a Butterfly, some games I need an AC, some games I need X, Y, or Z.
Scotty,
and I think that's very fun.
Any comp, like you can go Satanic also on this hero is a good item.
Oh yeah, some people go Mask of Madness. I've not tried that though.
I mean, Hero Raise is so fucking good now.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that one. I mean,
for farming, I guess.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of an item. Also, you disassemble it, and then later on, like you said, maybe you build Satanic and a Butterfly.
Sure.
I'm just not some people are Mask of Madness players. I feel where they're like, I'm just going to build this item on everybody, and it's going to make me farm so fast, and I'm just going to win. And I don't have that. We
saw it on a Monkey King, and I was like, the way you play Monkey King is you get 4 attacks in, and then your Q does a shit ton of damage. But if you Mask of Madness, you cannot press Q. That's not how the item works.
But you just hit them 4 extra times in that time.
You just hit them and they die. So it's better that way. It's like, but that's not how the heroes played. You don't get to just break the way the heroes played for 2,000 gold. That's not how it works.
Who knows? All right. Anything else before we hop into our ads and then hop into our game?
No.
Okay. So, Proud, I'm going to blindside you right now. We, of course, today are sponsored by Unicorn, as per usual. Unicorn is your premier esports outlet. You can earn tokens to bet just by playing your favorite games, and you can also
I know all this.
No. You wait for it. I'm going to blindside you later. Okay. You can also earn Unicorn Gold by playing games. Like we said, you have to play ranked, I believe. So I've been accumulating it now that I've made my resurgence into ranked Dota 2. I think I'm at exactly 5,300. No, never mind. I lost the game last night. I'm not at exactly 5,300. I lied. Anyway, they also have completely legal and free esports betting, as well as real money betting if you're in the UK or Australia. Unicorn also has articles and other kinds of Dota 2 content. And like I said earlier, Unicorn has Unicoin Connect. That is CONNEKT. And that's where you earn Unicoin Gold just by playing games. Also CSGO and League of Legends, I believe. And then you can trade them in for the chance to win cosmetics. And that's what we all live for, basically. Here's where I blindside you, Proud. So I want to get the hot take on... There's an LGD Gaming versus Fnatic game coming up because the summit just started on Wednesday as we're recording. This game is on Friday the 15th. Like I said, I want to blindside you and get your opinion.
Right.
So
regular LGD?
LGD Gaming. So it's Somnus M. I don't know him. FY, Victoria, AIM, or Ame, and Yao.
All right.
And then Fnatic right now is EE, DJ, Abed, Ohio, Pylai, Excalibur, and Febby.
They're fucking weird.
They are weird. I feel like this is why I want to blindside you because like
I think LGD is a pretty good bet.
Yeah, that's a good bet. But I like my heart. The last time we did one of these, we lost, so I don't want to lose this time. Because again, my heart's telling me I want to be on the Eternal Envy side. I want to see. Let's see. The odds right now are slightly LGD favored. That's actually a lie. They're very LGD favored. It's a best of 3 also, so you got to factor that in.
Lost to Infamous in a best of 1. That's worrying. And TNC. They beat Virtus Pro, though. This is not an easy thing to suss out, if I'm being honest with you.
I know. That's why I want to surprise you. And I can't have you doing research and giving the right answers.
Every day, Abed grows in power as he merges into Eternal Envy. Because like with Excalibur, they were 17 and 21. That's not a good. It's not good. With Abed, they're 20 and 13. That is a good. So they're getting better, but like they lost to Na'Vi. They lost to Liquid, of course. They lost to Mineski 2-0. They lost to they beat Fire Dragon. Who gives a shit? They lost to
Fire Dragon.
I don't know. A team that's easy to 2-0. They beat TNC. Oh fuck. I'm gonna go Fnatic because I'm gonna go LGD.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm sure somebody will tell. I mean, I'll be watching these games. I'm actually watching this.
Fucking EE is like a secret agent for China. Of course, he's gonna lose.
Oh, yeah. And also, like China is so good against playing against weird Dota in general. Man, maybe you're right. Maybe LGD is it. Anyway, just for the sake of being a contrarian, I'm going to go Fnatic while you go LGD.
Okay.
So one of us has to be right by the time we get to next week.
That's a good
Anyway,
point.
So that's Unicorn. You can look at all the stats and whatnot and look at whether or not we won or lost our bet on Friday once the game's over on unicorn.com. And
it's a good
if you
way
want
to have super fun.
Yeah, it's fun to invest because I'm not the type to get invested in games. Like I watch a lot of Pro Dota, but I just watch it like because I like Dota. I don't invest myself in teams so much, and it has been fun looking at it from an angle of like, oh man, LGD's been really hot right now, or oh man, Fnatic's throwing, but they have great odds, so maybe I'll throw some Unicorn Silver, or if I was an Australian, maybe I'd be able to bet a little more real money. Regardless. We'll see. And thanks for Unicorn for their support. Our other sponsor, of course, is Pugna. That is PVGNA. They are a educational website, much like our podcast is theoretically an educational podcast. Pugna is an online platform and community where high-skilled Dota players and other ex-pro players, or I suppose maybe current pro players, I don't know how to qualify, people that play like tier 2 games, and other coaches create educational video guides on how to improve at the game, learn new heroes, learn new concepts, and help everybody gain a few stars or hopefully full badges, medallions, whatever we're calling them nowadays. They are completely ad-free, no reason to use ad blocker, or let's see, I just changed to some new ad guard. That's the new hotness apparently, because they've all got all these Bitcoin mining things on a lot of websites nowadays. So you don't need to worry about any of that crap because they're completely ad-free. Each hero guide is divided into smaller categories that are, I believe most of them are in between like 8 and 30 minutes. Like a lot of the guides have full games that the teacher goes through that are around 30 minutes long, but then they have smaller categories that are like 8 minutes long. So, watch on your lunch break like I do. Each guide has an accompanying Steam guide in client to help you apply the stuff that you learn. There's plenty of content for people of all skill levels, whether you are Proud and I learning about, I don't know, whatever the heck we want to learn about, or you are a completely new player just looking to see, you know, what the heck the offlane is. You can try out Pugna Pro subscription from us for free using our promo code FOURTH. It's not case sensitive, so you just type it in there, FOURTH. And you can do that on their website. So you get 30 full days to try it out for free and hopefully get better. You can find Pugna on Twitter at Pugna, PVGNA, or Pugna.com, PVGNA.com. Proud, you pointed out the other day on Teach Me Tuesday that Pugna, the V used to be a U. I don't know linguistically where that comes from, but it made me think that
More
V
like northern stuff. I think that's just what the letter used to be. I don't know specifics.
There was the Latin phrase, like the Roman phrase, Veni Vidi Vici, and people always pronounce it as Veni Vidi Vici, but the Romans didn't have the sound V that we use in English. It sounded like a W because they didn't have W's. Yeah. So, but it sounds way cooler to say it as Veni Vidi Vici compared to Weni Vidi Vici.
Yeah, that sounds fucking stupid.
Exactly. And so now it's one of those things where just over time it's gotten bastardized to like, yeah, that sounds cooler if you just pronounce like a V. But in reality, they just didn't have a sound for V. So it always sounded like the W. So, yeah, that's that. I just thought that was a fun tangent. Anyway, let's go play our game. Hopefully we'll win. Hopefully we'll get our rolls. Because like I said, if I don't play SF, I might play like AA. We'll see. And anyway, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening to this first part. We'll be back momentarily with the second part. Hopefully with the winning music in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Theorycraft Thursday, round 1. The stage of fate is set. Ready? Fight!
Dota sucks, actually. It's actually not a good game.
Well, there's always next time. All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. For you, kind listener, it has been approximately 30 seconds, would you say? That's how long the...
32 seconds, I think.
32 seconds. For us, your lovely hosts, we've spent, I don't know, probably like two and a half, 3 hours?
2.5 hours, I think, is fair.
Yeah, it's been like 2.5 hours. We played 3 games. Played is maybe an overstatement.
We queued 3 times. I'll go that far.
We queued and accepted queue 3 times and made it into 3 different lobbies. In total, let's see, the first game was 32 minutes, 30 seconds. The second game was 11 minutes. And the third game was 38 minutes and 30 seconds. So the flow of it went, the first game was an absolute mess where we just got absolutely stomped. And then the second game was an absolute mess because the enemy team had 2 intentional feeders. So don't do that, everybody. Please don't intentionally feed. It's not fun for anybody. And then the third game, we got absolutely stomped, and we had a very excitable 3-stack, I suppose is the word I would use.
We're not exactly sure what characteristics they possessed because we muted them pretty instantly. But some of the characteristics definitely included excitable, active, lively, not using RP. That's another characteristic they all shared.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I will say, so for the VOD that's on YouTube, I put up the third game, and we talked a lot about the first 2 games because both of us were just broken by the end of this whole scenario. So thankfully the first part of this is long and I thought was very good. So the second part it was something of a mess. I don't even know where to begin. I played Shadow Fiend in the first game, and okay, so let's actually seriously glean something from at least a little bit of this.
Okay.
So Shadow Fiend is a hero that typically needs help for the first couple waves, right? When you see him in pro games or in coordinated play in general, you see him have something like, let's say, you have a 4 ogre that just steps in and just throws a couple fire blasts at the enemy mid, or you see ignites. Or you see a Skywrath help and harass a little, because Shadow Fiend is generally just he does 48 damage with a Wraith Band and 3 branches at level 1. So he needs a little bit of help. And the best way to beat a Shadow Fiend in general is just to gank him, because not only do you obviously kill him, and which is easy because he's a hero with no escape mechanic, who's, you know, not super squishy but relatively squishy, and then he gets worse once he dies. And similarly, the way that you win when you have a Shadow Fiend on your team is that when he gets ganked, you either are already there to help him or you TP to help him. And, you know, that's just how it is when you have a hero like a Shadow Fiend or like an Alchemist, any of these like hard farming mids that are weak in lane in the beginning but become strong. You need to assist them in the early stages of laning phase when they are weak and are very susceptible to just getting absolutely rolled over. So in that game, when I played Shadow Fiend, that was not the case. Like, the enemy team, they had a support CK and a support Bounty Hunter and a mid lane Dark Willow. And the Dark Willow I underestimated damage-wise in the long term, but the combination of the three was just like impossible. Like, there's no way I don't die in that scenario. It's either I do not participate in lane or my supports rotate and everything's fine. Also, Dark Willow is easy to kill relatively because I have all AoE spells, right? So her not being targetable is negligible to me, basically.
Yeah.
But we did not get that. And instead, I was just left basically completely alone. And then the only time our supports came and helped, it was too late, basically. Like, the big thing in mid is if you have a big level 6, once you get that, you have to leverage it against your opponent, right? And so Dark Willow is a perfect example of a hero that is a big level 6. Because once she was level 6 and I was like barely into level 5 when she hit 6, I could no longer participate in lane. Because not only am I not a hero that does well against her or plays at a disadvantage well, and I didn't have any stacks in the jungle, but she is a hero that, like, as a core or as a support, drastically jumps up in her strength once she hits 6 and gets her level 6 ability, Bedlam. And so then at that point, it's just like, anytime I participate in lane, she just kills me. So that was a real waste of time, I'll be honest. Like, that was one of those games where, gosh, yeah, I was very tilted. That's one of the most tilting games I've played in a very long time. And I know everybody hates to just hear us complain, but boy.
And you died a lot.
I had 11 deaths by the end of that game, and like I wasn't playing well either because I was playing on tilt at a certain point, and I was like, "This is the most." Yeah. Like, SF is an unplayable mid if you're just getting chain ganked and you do not have support. Like, it is a literally unplayable scenario. Like, there's no alternative. It's just like, you lose rough now. Like, yeah.
And I mean, it was all like enabled by, they had a Monkey King that was 1v1ing our offlaner, and, you know, won, of course, because it's Monkey King against a melee hero. And they just aggro tri-lane top for the first bit and just like killed me and our supports repeatedly. And then they left and killed you a bunch. And then our supports were like, this is tough.
And our support solution to mid lane and safe lane being lost was to be in neither. Like, there were somehow
they sat
nowhere
in between the two lanes that were like, we're ready. We will start walking at any time.
Oh, man. It was definitely a game that made me realize, like, I'm kind of anti-Dark Willow mid, but I have seen a few really strong performances of it, so maybe I have to change my opinion of it. And, man, Bedlam is just a disgusting amount of damage.
Yeah, Bedlam's pretty strong.
So I've seen, like, obviously, Dark Willow's been a popular hero for a while, and I've seen a lot of her as a support, and I've seen a few offlane Dark Willows, too, in, like, duo lanes, but this game kind of gave me a new lease on how it works when you play mid Willow, because it was just a disgusting amount of lane dominance. Because if you tried to gank her, she'd pop down Bramble Maze and then she can just leave. Yeah. Or if you got on top of her, she Shadow Realmed, and then any targeted stuff was not worth it, which doesn't really apply in certain matchups. But also, Shadow Realm is a relatively cheap ability, right? 70 scaling up to 100 mana cost. Yeah. And assures lane dominance if you need CS, but also assures lane dominance if you want to harass the enemy. And gosh, it was truly miserable. I tried the drum thing, but honestly, like, I could have built any items I wanted and I would not have won that game.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Shadow Fiend. I didn't play Shadow Fiend in either of the other games because other people wanted to play mid, and I was not about to argue. And I was at my wit's end after that first game. Right. By the third game, we had reached the acceptance stage of grief. What did you think about any of these games, Proud?
Well, I had to play Luna 3 times in a row in absolutely horrendous games, so I was a little bored at that point. The first game, it was good that I had level 1 aura and we were able to actually kind of fight. But that's about it. Well, I guess the main takeaway that I already knew was that Luna does not want to be in the midst of shit. That's not what Luna wants. Luna wants to be on the outsides of shit, not the midst. Because anytime I was in the midst of anything, it was a fucking horrendous situation. So try not to be in the midst of anything.
I think that's a fair statement. Yeah, okay. I played AA in the second game. The second game really doesn't count. Like it was nice that we recouped a little bit of our losses, but it was just,
how'd you feel about that Lucent Beam range?
It was pretty nice, actually. I was impressed with it because in the third game, like the game was super lost, but we still like were playing
for some
it,
context, the third game was like 3 people who queued together that seemed like rather young, that were just like screaming and shit the whole time. So they were just kind of doing whatever, and they obviously weren't very good at the heroes they were playing or whatever, because they had the, like decent badges, but like holy fucking shit, that was not good. But anyways, they just kind of did random shit, and anytime we tried to group up with them, it just like blew up in our faces because they just did random shit. And so we just kind of played like a pot of 2 and a pot of 3, and our pot of 3 kept fucking dying. So eventually we lost, but so that's that game. Like we put up a struggle, but it was not good.
Yeah, but we still like even though like the kill score was 16-52, for instance, like their mid SF was 20-2. So obviously the game was not competitive, but in the sense that like we actually had levels and we could do things theoretically. Yeah. So it was, it was not like an unplayable game.
It was more of a game than the other ones.
Yes, it was much more of a game. We actually did things, even though the things we were able to do would never amount to anything. It was, something. But yeah, it is what it is. It was just bizarre because it was like 3 games in a row, right? Every once in a while for Theorycraft Thursday, we have to play like 2 games because one game is just like, completely pointlessly ruined. Or we don't get our heroes, whatever. But this was one of the weirder times where people always suggest like, oh, you guys should just play in 5 stacks. And we always say like, oh, it doesn't really work out that great because it ends up stacking the deck. But this made me reassess that position with how freaking bad these games were. But, such is life. I don't really have anything else to say. Like, you'll enjoy the VOD. It was a fun VOD. Like, it's just us screwing around because the game was an absolute mess. But, such is life. It's only party MMR, I suppose.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's do the plugs, shall we?
Sure.
It's been a very weird night of Dota.
Wait, did you catch that, shall we?
Shall we?
Yeah, did you notice that one?
No, I didn't. I really don't.
You
I
said,
don't
let's
notice
do the
anything.
plug, shall we?
Yeah, well, because you can start sentences with shall we, or you can end sentences with shall we. I don't think when I speak. Come on, are you kidding?
Okay. Well, because last time you said you didn't realize, and I didn't know if you were noticing them now.
I don't realize because it's one of those turns of phrase that you just like. It just gets peppered in every once in a while.
Yeah, I think everyone feels like that with the phrase "shall we." It just kind of pops up. You got no control over it.
It's not like I go out of my way to use it. Like, I just use weird words. All right. Anyway, let's do plugs. If you want to hear more weird words, I'm at Ursinity on Twitter, and our show is at Fourth Spirit on Twitter, and Proud is at Proud Dota on Twitter. Our website is fourthspirit.com if you like to listen to the podcast there. Our Patreon is patreon.com/Fourth Spirit. Excuse me. My autopilot is getting turned back on every once in a while. They also, for anybody interested, they were intending to make Patreon changes to the fee structure, but then everybody hated it, so they changed it, and it didn't really affect us. But
they changed it in that they're not changing it.
Oh yeah. So
they didn't change anything.
Yeah, although eventually, there are some certain issues with Patreon that they are trying to solve, and they realize that their proposed solution was awful, so they're not going through that. But a lot of people canceled Patreon subs. Again, it didn't really affect us that much, so this is not like a begging moment. But any of those changes are gone now. So yeah, don't worry about that if you are a person that frequents Patreon. I know you are patroned to a couple people, and I know it was a big deal among the Patreon sphere. So anyway, we're almost at 550 to do our Dark Souls thing, so that'll be fun. Yeah. I think we're like $12 short or something.
13, idiot.
13. So if you want to hear it, that was a taste of what'll happen in the Dark Souls thing, I'm sure. No, I'll probably still do that. What else? YouTube.com/Fourth Spirit. You can find the VOD from today. It was a fun one, if a joke one. It's one that you could actually just listen to rather than watch. What else? Discord.gg/Fourth, Fourth. That is the hub for the community. I'm always on there, basically, unless I'm asleep. I'm on there 24/7. So if you want to ask us questions, you want to send us questions for Teach Me Tuesday. We've actually got a lot right now, but more are always useful because they just get tacked on and eventually answered. You can send those to our email, show@fourthspirit.com, or you could just DM them to us on Discord. I don't think we have anything else to plug, do we? We have, we don't have anything else to plug. I'm not going to bother. So,
I don't have a single thing.
Good. I have been Ursinity. My co-host has been Proud. We've all learned a little bit. We've all learned a little bit about Dota 2, hopefully. And if we've lost, I don't even know who to blame. Blame one of the 25 people we played with tonight. All right. Goodbye, everybody.